And after Trypho took the animals and took possession of Antioch, youthful Antiochus wrote to Jonathan, saying, I confirm you in the high priesthood and appoint you over 4 districts to be the king's friend. He sent gold plate and table service and gave them the right to drink out of gold goblets, wear purple and gold. And when he made Simon governor from the ladder of Tyre to the frontier of Egypt, Syria wanted to ally with Jonathan. Jonathan traveled to Ascalon, received him with honor, but Gaza shut their gates on him, so he laid siege on it, fired on its suburbs, and plundered them. Then the people of Gaza asked for terms, and he gave them his pledge, and took the sons of their leaders as hostages, and sent them to Jerusalem, and went to Damascus. Jonathan heard officers of Demetrius were at Kadesh in Galilee with a strong force asking to remove him from office. So he went out to meet them, and Simon stayed in Bethsaida for a while and shut it in, took possession of the town and put a garrison in it. Jonathan and his army pitched camp by the waters of Gennesaret. Early in the morning they went to the plain of Hazor. Foreigners had set an ambush for him, but they themselves met him face to face, and the ambush rose out of their place and joined the battle. All who were on Jonathan's side fled, except Captain Matthias. Jonathan tore his clothes, threw dust on his head, and prayed. He battled them, and they fled. His troops rejoiced him, helped him, and he went home to Jerusalem. Jonathan sent men to Rome to renew friendly relations and notified the Spartans, the army. He went into the Senate house and said, Jonathan, the high priest, and the Jewish people sent us to renew friendly relations. He delivered letters to them and asked for a peaceful send-off. This is what Jonathan wrote to the Spartans. Jonathan and the Council of Nations, priests, and Jewish people send greetings to their brothers, the Spartans. Enclosed is a copy of the letter to the high priest Onias from Arius, who was your king, saying that you Spartans are our kinsmen. Wanesa accepted the letter, which contained a declaration of alliance and friendliness. We are in no need of your letter of friendliness, since we find encouragement in the sacred books. So we have undertaken to renew relations of brotherhood and friendliness with you, so that we may not be estranged from you. We remember you in our sacrifices and prayers, as it is right and proper to remember kinsmen. We rejoice in your renown. Many hardships and wars beset us. Kings around us made war on us. We have not wished to trouble you, for our help comes from heaven. We have been saved from our enemies. We want to renew friendly relations and alliance with the Romans and you Spartans. Please reply. This is a copy of the letter they sent to Onias. Arius, king of the Spartans, sends greetings to Onias, the chief priest. It has been found in a writing concerning the Spartans and the Jews that they are kinsmen, and that they are descended from Abraham. Now that we have learned this, please write to us about your welfare. We, for our part, write to you that our cattle and our property are ours, and ours are yours. We command them to report to you. Jonathan heard that Demetrius' officers had returned with a stronger than before force to make war on him, and he sent out from Jerusalem to meet them in Hamath. He sent spies to their camp and reported that they were planning a night attack. When the sun set, Jonathan ordered his men to be ready under arms. The adversary had heard Jonathan's men were ready to battle, and they were frightened and lit fires in their camp. Jonathan saw the fires burning and pursued them, but could not overtake them because they crossed the river Eleutheris. Jonathan turned aside against the Arabs, who were called Zabadeans, and defeated and plundered them. Simon took Joppa by surprise. Jonathan retreated, called together the elders, and planned to build strongholds in Judea and to increase the height of the walls and build a great mound between the citadel and the city to separate it by itself so they could not buy it or sell it. They gathered together to build up the city, and part of the wall, the east wall by the ravine, collapsed. He replaced it with so-called Chapanatha. Simon built Ordin, Loveland, and fortified it and barred it with gates. Trypho undertook to become king of Asia. He raised his hand against King Antiochus, and he was afraid that Jonathan would get in the way to undertake it and siege and destroy him. Jonathan did go out to meet him with 40,000 men. Trypho was afraid, so he received him with honor and gave him presents and introduced him to his friends, gave him equal commands over his forces, and sent to Jonathan. Why have you burdened these people when there's no war between us? Send them home. You and a few men come with me to Ptolemais, and I will turn it over to you, along with the rest of the prison's forces and officials." Jonathan trusted him and did as he said, and he dismissed his troops. He took 1,000 with him, and Jonathan entered Ptolemais. The people closed the gates, seized him, and they killed his troops with the sword. Trypho sent forces to cavalry to Galilee, and their great plan to destroy all Jonathan's men. They thought Jonathan perished with his men, and they encouraged one another and marched away in close order, ready to fight. And when the pursuers saw this, they turned back. The Lord's people returned to Judah and mourned over Jonathan. They were frightened, and all Israel mourned. The heathen around them rose up, saying, "They have no leader. Let us make war." Simon had heard that Trypho had gathered a strong force to invade the land of Judah. He saw his people were afraid. He encouraged them, saying, "You know all that I and my brothers and my father's house have done for the law and the sanctuary. As a result, my brother perished for Israel's sake. I never wanted to spare my own life, for I am no better than my brother. But I will avenge my nation and sanctuary and your wives and your children, because the heathen have gathered out of hatred to destroy us." The spirit of the people revived. They said, "You, Simon, are our new leader in place of Judas and Jonathan. Carry out our war. We'll listen to you." So he called the fighting men together and made haste to finish the walls of Jerusalem, and sent Jonathan, the son of Absalom, to Joppa, who drove out the men. Trypho set out from Ptolemais to invade Judah, and he was holding Jonathan hostage. He wasn't dead. Trypho had learned that Simon had risen to take the place of Jonathan, and he sent an envoy to him, saying, "It's for money that your brother Jonathan owed the royal treasury in connection with the offices that he held that we are holding him. Send 1,000 talents of silver and 2 of his sons as hostages, so that when he's released, he will not revolt against us, and we'll let him go." Simon knew they were speaking treacherously, yet he sent the money and the children. He wanted to do everything he could to save Jonathan, lest the people would scoff and blame him. But Trypho wouldn't let Jonathan go anyway. Morphic got his cavalry ready to go, but there was very heavy snow. He killed Jonathan. He was buried. Simon got the bones of his brother and buried him in Modin. Israel lamented for a long time. Simon built a high monument over the grave of his father and his brother. It was polished stone. He erected 7 pyramids in a row. He put trophies of armor on columns for an everlasting memorial. And he carved something. The Modin monument still stands today. Trypho dealt treacherously with King Antioch and the younger, and killed him and became king in his stead. He assumed the diadem of Asia and brought great calamity upon the country. Simon built strongholds, prisons with high towers, thick walls, buried gates, and he stored provisions in them. Simon chose men and sent them to King Demetrius that he should give the country relief from Trypho, the plunderer. King Demetrius answered him by letter. King Demetrius sends greetings to Simon the high priest and friend of the king, and to the Jewish nation, elders. We have received the gold crown and the palm branch that you sent. We are ready to make lasting peace with you and to write our official granting the immunity you ask. We have guaranteed you the strongholds you have built shall be yours. We have forgiven any oversights up to this time, as well as the crown tax. Also, if any of you are suitable person to be enrolled in an hour, there shall be peace between us. It was the 170th year that the yoke of the heathen be lifted from Israel, and the people began to write in their contracts and agreements in the first year of Simon, the great high priest and governor and commander of the Jews. Simon pitched a camp against Gazara and asked people for mercy. Simon came to terms with them to put them out of the city, purified the house where the idols were, and he expelled all the impurifications and settled men in who observed the law. He even built himself a dwelling there and fortified it. Men in the citadel were just dying of starvation. They cried out to Simon to make terms with them, and he did. He expelled them from the citadel and purified it for its defilement. There was much rejoicing because the great enemy had been destroyed out of Israel. And they observed the 200 day of the second month to be observed with gladness. He and his men stayed at the Temple Mount facing the citadel, and Simon made his son John commander of all his forces.